Rev up your engines!
Today, by popular demand, I'm going to talk about self-driving cars. Now, people have been talking about self-driving cars for a long time, and a lot of companies recently have put a lot of money into building cars that are able to drive themselves. And I met a bunch of these people recently in Seattle on a business trip, and being in Seattle, of course, they think that technology is going to solve absolutely everything. And they're like, oh, Scotty, that's the future. It's coming. It's almost here. Well, old Scotty got him mad because I said, yeah, it's almost here. When I was a kid in the 1950s, they kept saying, oh, flying cars. It's just a few years away. We'll all be driving flying cars. Well, in 1949, a guy made the Aero car. He made 6 examples. Now, they never went into mass production. They were a massive failure. And we're still not driving and flying around in cars. Now, cars have certainly gone a long way since this 1967 Volkswagen Squareback. But the future of self-driving cars, I believe it's still a long way in the future to be done on any level of mass production. Because yes, in 2017 in the United States, there were 40,100 car-related accident deaths. And if you had self-driving cars, I'm sure that could lower that rate. But even if you had a mass change of 40,100 deaths to only 1,000 deaths, guess what's going to happen with those 1,000 deaths? The lawyers are going to come out of the woodwork. They'll sue the company that made them, the company that did the software. They'll sue the person who owned the car. They'll sue the company that made the car. They'll sue everyone, and all the automated cars will come to a grinding halt. And when you consider the massive amount of money that'll have to go into the infrastructure, because as many people have said, you really can't have self-driving cars driving on the same roads as people driving cars. The interaction will cause way too many problems, too many accidents, and then again, the lawsuits will go wild. Look at the high-tech Tesla. It's already been involved in accidents where people have been killed, and one where the car drove itself into a parked police car. Luckily, the policeman wasn't in the car, but I mean, first of all, they got a long way to go with software and sensors and stuff to make it work correctly. And even if they did, people drive crazy. That's true. So, if you have a self-driving car, and then there's crazy drivers coming down the road, that's a mixture for total disaster. So when I'm driving, I never get in wrecks. If I see a bad driver ahead of me, I'll decide what to do. If they're really crazy, I'll just hold back and watch and see what happens. Or if they're going really slow and driving erratically, I'll quick get around them and get so far ahead of them, I don't care what happens. And besides software and hardware problems with self-driving cars, there's also the money angle and the job/money angle. In the United States, there's over 6 million people who make a living driving cars and trucks, and that's full time. There's tons of people that do Uber too. So if all these people are taken away by automatically driving vehicles, there go their jobs, there goes their income. You know, what happens to these people? And don't think the insurance companies would fight this tooth and nail. You know how much money they make selling car insurance to people? To give you a perfect example from the healthcare analogy, insurance companies make a fortune selling healthcare insurance to people. If there was a one-payer system and they got thrown out of the loop, there goes their money. So of course, in legislature in Washington, D.C., they fight it tooth and nail. They'll make up all kind of data and throw all kinds of things about, oh, it's communism, a one-payer system, oh, we need capitalism. But basically, it's because they're making so much money, they don't want to rock the boat. And if you rock the boat with self-driving cars, they're going to be out an awful lot of money not selling car insurance to all these millions and millions of people that are driving their own cars. And speaking of money, who's going to pay for all these new self-driving cars? They're not going to be cheap. They're going to cost a lot of money. And like I said earlier, you really cannot have a system where there are self-driving cars driving on the same roads as people who are driving cars. That mix just won't work. And that's one of the reasons, if they do start bringing them out, thousands here, thousands there, mark Scotty's word, there's going to be accidents with self-driving cars and cars that people are driving, and the lawsuits are just going to go wild. And of course, then there's the hacker side of it. If these are automated driving cars, they're going to be driven by computers. People can hack into that stuff. You can have a hard time hacking into my brain while I'm driving down the road in a car. But if you've got self-driving cars, hey, there's certainly going to be people hacking into them. And as an extreme, let's say they have self-driving 18-wheelers on a highway, delivering stuff. People are certainly going to hack into those things, steal the truck, steal everything that's in them. If there's no people involved, they're certainly going to be able to do crime on machines and get away with it a lot easier than they would if there's people driving the cars that try to do evasive maneuvers or get on the phone and call the police. Now, sure, you can have limited areas where there's only self-driving cars, like say, if the guys in Seattle want to do it since they're so into technology, they could ban cars in the city of Seattle and have only self-driving cars on roads that only self-driving cars are allowed on. Sure, something like that could definitely work in limited situations if people want to spend money on the infrastructure and buying all the equipment and setting it all up. I can't see them spending billions making it driverless car land in the city of Seattle anytime soon. But I do believe in a type of self-driving car, believe it or not. Cars that you drive yourself. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.